In the course of Green Biz Forum, you'll see that we're going to bring a number of people to the stage, a number of innovators, a number of people who have what we call one great idea. We're really happy to kick this off with somebody who I know has been an inspiration to all of you, to all of us, someone who is a great friend of this community, and I love to say a great friend of mine. Please welcome Bill McDonough. Please welcome Bill McDonough. Hey, Bill. Here you go, Bill.
Thanks. Hi. Hello, everybody. This is fun. I have a chance to talk to you for 10 minutes about one big idea. And I'm a practitioner. And when I was asked by Davos to be the chair of the new Meta Council for the Circular Economy at Davos, I said, why not an economist? Why not a CEO? And they said, because it has been said that economists try to prove that what's happening in practice can work in theory. And what we're dealing with here is, what do we do now? And I'm a practitioner. I make stuff. I design stuff. I build buildings. I make products. So I want to talk about design and coming at this by design. And for fun, you know, my world of design, we have famously Louis Sullivan telling us form follows function. And that's exciting for young designers to start to think about. And then we also realize that in nature, form might follow evolution, and that in architecture and real estate, form appears to follow parking. So, form. And then we look at Mies van der Rohe and the modern movement, and we have less is more or less. Is this parsimony, or is this elegance? I was born in Japan, and we take very simple things, and they can be either crude or very elegant. And so simplicity is really important. And it is an aesthetic question as well as a resource question. But if less is less bad, more bad? It's bad by definition, because it's not more good. Is less bad more good? No, because less is a relationship, and bad is a human value. These are not two negative numbers multiplying into a positive. This is less and bad. So by definition, bad. So what if more good was more good? So if we're going to talk about things like end of life, why would I take something and talk about its end of life? This is not alive. What if I talked about next use? What if we thought about intergenerational uses of these materials and removed the idea of remote tyranny, both across place but also across time? And so my big idea today is not just to talk about less is more and more is more or less, but to talk about ad infinitum, to talk about endless is more. The circular economy. We don't have end of life. We have end of use. We have end of use period. So if we start thinking about the idea of endless is more, you could play with that, and we could say end less is more, perhaps. But on the other hand, we like less is more. So let's do both. And so let's design for the Anthropocene now, because let's change the way we see. This image is the image that will be seen from the new satellite launched toward the Lagrangian point, a stationary point between the sun and the Earth that will look at the Earth fully illuminated at all times. This is the view they will see of the moon in front of the Earth. So the notion that away has gone away, because this is home, is really important. And so I'd like to start with an evocation from a nun, theologian, doctor, poet, Hildegard von Bingen, 12th century. And look at this poem. Glance at the sun, see the moon and the stars, gaze at the beauty of earth's greenings. Now think. So for us in this room who come together around these issues, glance, see, gaze, beauty, greenings, think. This is what we're here for. And when we do this, we realize that we can delight in what God gives to humankind with all these things. Delight, beauty, delight. And then finally she says something quite interesting, which is, all nature is at the disposal of humankind. We are to work with it, for without it we cannot survive. This is usufruct. This is the notion that nature is here for our use. We talk about things like natural capital. You know, this stuff is being used. Do we have human capital? You know, do we have ecological capital? Do we have economic capital? This idea that things are here for our use is important too, but this is sustainability with survival. I think we can talk in this room about going beyond survival by design. That's what I'd like to talk about. Let's go endlessly forward and start to think about it beyond sustainability, because if I asked you, what is your relationship to your spouse, and you said sustainable, I'd say, I'm sorry, that doesn't sound that interesting. So the real question is, how can we go beyond just maintenance? And so really what I'd like to talk about is design from values to value. And as an architect, you know, we're famously accused of knowing less and less about more and more until we know nothing about everything. And engineers and scientists know more and more about less and less until they know everything about nothing. So somewhere in between is normal life. And so if we start like Plato with the idea of the arts and truth from beauty and culture, we can then move from our values to principles. We can move from principles to visions. And as we know, visions without execution are hallucination. And then we can move to goals and set our strategies, tactics. So what are we doing? What do we do now? And then what are we going to measure? And then we do value creation. So between the two, creative values and value creation, very critical. But if you start with number, you can't get to values. So it's really important for us to start with our values and all together now. So we're looking at the notions that we started with in Sustainable Development Movement of merging economy, equity, and ecology, and looking for fabulous things that really integrate them not just at triple bottom line metrics, but triple top line. Produce ecological revenue, create benefit in the world, not just less damage. And so to do this, I work with German chemist Michael Braungart, and we looked at the world as biological nutrients and technical nutrients. This is a world of nutrition and benefit. And we design things that are technical nutrients to go back to the technosphere without harming the biosphere. And we design things that are biological nutrients to be safe on your skin and back to biology. To do this, we develop constant improvement programs where we look at, on the left side, you see an infinite number of choices and opportunities. Your inventory of opportunity might be molecules. We then have a filter, which is your values. How about no more endocrine disruptors? How about no more carcinogens, et cetera? Plastics in the ocean, whatever. That's your value statement. And then let's get rid of the things we don't want. Not CSR reports showing everything going down towards zero, because then you're telling the world what you don't want to be. I'm going to reduce my carbon by 20% by 2020. Fine. You're going to be less bad. What are you telling your children? It's better if you're not here. You're hurting my ability to be nothing. It would be like me running out of here and saying to the taxi, quick, I'm not going to the airport. Why don't we engage positively? And let's take away the things we don't want. Let's add the things we do want. Let's articulate them in a design sense. And let's move with scale and velocity. I've had the privilege of representing the United States in the China-US Center for Sustainable Development. I now have the privilege of chairing the new Meta Council, one of 6 with the 88 Global Agenda Councils. We are a Meta Council for the Circular Economy. My co-chair is Ellen MacArthur from London. And I've been meeting with the Chinese, and this is the head of the new China Association for Circular Economy. Their 12th five-year plan, a circular economy, called Promote the Circular Economy. The new one, starting next year, will be called Implementing the Circular Economy, and then we will look to find ways to help people understand how to move it along. The person who will be writing this is Vice Chairman Xie from the NDRC, who will negotiate for climate in China, and we'll be looking at this. And what's exciting to me is the Chinese, given the fact they're trying to get their industrial revolution done so fast, we took 150 years, to look like Beijing in some of our cities. And when you stop and think about this, the idea that they are now asking to look at creating design protocols to train their people and how to do this by design. So it's beyond forensics. This is how do we go forward and start to use these as design tools. And that's what's very exciting to me. So design and innovation for the circular economy. It's what we're calling it. It's about end resourcefulness. And so my one great idea, I hope it's a great idea, or my one idea for today, is to remember that Jefferson and Gorbachev both said the same thing in their writings, which I found by coincidence. They both said, the revolution was assured when we saw the alignment of 5% of the thinking population. Less is more. Perhaps endless is even more. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.